Primarina used to having its way against dragon types, but Shadow Latios might have something to say about that. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am super hyped because GGDAWG has sent us an incredible battle submission where he is flexing his 98 IV Shadow Latios, running this legacy move of Lustre Perge. Firstly, I'm going to be honest, I am very jealous of this flex. It is so cool and I wish I had one. That's not all. We've got not one, but two Shadow Glass Cannons. A Shadow Mamoswine that only has nukes of Avalanche and High Horsepower respectively is also going to be a featured Pokemon today. Rounding today's team off, we've got Dusk Mane, which of course has that Hail Mary of Sunsteel Strike. I'm going to keep the intro short and sweet. Without any further ado, let's get into the battle. And in game one, we are off to a good start, leading Latios into Kyogre. The opponent says no thank you, say switch into Landorus, without a doubt one of the best say switch in the Master League. However, we've got Mamoswine that hits them for double super effective. GGDAWG tanked the Sunsteel Storm, farmed up, fired off the Avalanche, securing the knockout and leaves a very minimal farm for the returning Kyogre. Kyogre comes out, gets the Waterfall farm down and Latios re-enters the arena. Things take a turn for the worst. GGDAWG finds himself against Yveltal in the back. This team is ABA weak to Dark, and Yveltal, to be honest, are very common and very top tier picks. I'm going to be interested to see how he plays away around this weakness. We fire off the double Dragon Claw, forcing both Protect Shields and see the pivot into Dusk Mane. GGDAWG does have two Protect Shields, two high behind, and he's very quickly going to have to give both them up, shielding up the incoming Dark Pulses. Switch timers heavily misaligned. The opponent tried for the Sunsteel Strike catch, back onto the bulky Blue Whale. GGDAWG holds his energy, fires off the Dark Pulse. The first Dark Pulse rocks the Blue Whale below half health. The second one should be securing the knockout, but how the hell do we get rid of this Yveltal? We pivot into Latios, get farm down, and unfortunately we're off to a 0-1 start. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we found ourselves another problem in the lead, Xerneas. Mamoswine will not fancy tanking a close combat. We farm up, try our luck, catching the Moonblast, onto Dusk Mane. Very nice catch. The opponent then enters the mirror. Thankfully, we snuck the Shadow Claw, so we are able to outplace to the Dark Pulse, which should be forcing the first Protect Shield of the battle. The opponent obliges, putting up that Protect Shield. Looks like GGDAWG's going to fight for Switch. I'm not really sure how much Switch advantage helps us in this battle. We shield up the Dark Pulse, over farm ever so slightly, fire off the Dark Pulse, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. We then go for the wham bam combo play, send back out Latios, fire off the Dragon Claw, but Dragon Claw simply doesn't get the job done. GGDAWG just happy to sack Latios, or perhaps it's Latias. No, it's definitely Latios, but bear with me, I'm probably going to call it the wrong name about 50 times today. We send out Mamoswine, out comes Palkia, Avalanche lands for massive damage. Avalanche, one of the best moves in the game, it's actually a Psy Strike clone. We shield up the Aqua Tail, can Mamoswine get that full farm down? We attempt to make the catch unsuccessfully, and we're going to take another heartbreaking loss, heading into the next battle. We see the battle of Dragon types, Dragon Breath doing absurd damage. We again make the catch the resisted Dragon Claw onto Dusk Mane. Our Dusk Mane save switch is answered by Rhyperior. We're actually going to settle for the Dark Pulse, looking to get off some chip damage on Rhyperior. The opponent actually shields when they really don't need to, and that's probably best case scenario. Unless the opponent Rock Wrecker, we might make the Dark Pulse. Oof, we just miss out. That's quite brutal. GGDAWG now sends out Mamoswine. The opponent fire off yet another Breaking Swipe, which won't do too much damage, but Mamoswine is an insanely glassy pick. GGDAWG finally going to invest a Protect Shield, blocking up the next Breaking Swipe. We then bank an Avalanche for the road, pivot back out into Latios and go straight for the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw moves them from the field of play. Back out comes Dragonite, looking for that Dragon Breath farm down, but Latios says no. Reaches the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw secures the knockout and out comes Metagross. I guess I'll wink on his full sending. Does the opponent respect the damage? No! And we're going to take another heartbreaking loss. Running this very spicy, off-meta team, expect some losses, but don't worry, there are some wins to come. We see another battle of dragons. We strike first, firing off the Dragon Claw. The opponent actually settle for an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is resisted and will not be lethal. We then make the pivot into Dusk Mane. Dusk Mane looking for that Shadow Claw farm down, which we're unable to get. The opponent farmed to a potential Spatial Realm, which is resisted, but a very good move. We invest a Protect Shield, and out comes Ho-Oh. Very nice timing, two Shadow Claws and the Dark Pulse, only giving the opponent one free turn. We then attempt to play to a charge attack priority, but the opponent actually take the extra. The next Dark Pulse forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent's now at 100 energy. Trainer, why aren't you throwing? What the heck was that? The opponent attempted to make a very, very aggressive farm down on our dragon type, and they didn't get there. No, they make a catch as well. What is going on? The opponent back in the battle. GGDAWG still with 1 Protect Shield, 2 high behind. Going to invest it here. We block up the close combat. We've got the avalanche banked, and just like that, we're going to chalk up a dub. GG's, and thanks for playing. As always, it didn't take too long for me to find myself in shambles with my commentary in the next battle. I was going to say a good lead, but then we are a part of Psychic type, so the Shadow Claws are still going to tear through us. That looked like a charge attack priority, so the opponent going straight for an Ominous Wind. GGDAWG able to force himself an early Protect Shield, but he very quickly gives it back. No, the opponent got the boost, shielding up the Ominous Wind. We then pivot into Mamoswine, and out comes Kyogre. Mamoswine going to fire off the high horsepower. High horsepower actually forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, which isn't bad for us whatsoever. Back out comes Latios. Latios not interested in shielding up the Surf. Surf isn't lethal, and we are going to be able to reach a Dragon Claw. Likewise, I don't think this Dragon Claw will be lethal. We might be able to Dragon Breath farm down afterwards. We actually save Latios on a sliver of HP and send out Dusk Mane. Dusk Mane tanks the Surf. Back out comes Giratina. Giratina going to look to force the final Protect Shield, blocking up the Ominous Wind. We're going to need something so weak in the back to win this battle. Dark Pulse will be moving Giratina from the field of play. Come on, show me a fairy. Please show me a fairy. Ask and you shall receive. Out comes Togekiss. The opponent looks for that tap. Charm down, farm down. Dusk Mane says no. Sunsteel strike. Massive overkill. Back out comes Kyogre. The opponent waterfall farm down, but the Dragon Breath secures the knockout before we get waterfall farm down, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see a battle of dragons. This will be a good lead, assuming they're on counter. The opponent's actually on Dragon Tail, but holy crap, look at the damage output there. This must be under-leveled. I can't see the CP as a shoutcast on my phone, but that was actually absurd. Out comes Rhyperior. I'd love to just YOLO a Lustre Perge here. I doubt the opponent's shield, although what do I know? The opponent invests the first Protect Shield. So perhaps double Dragon Claw was the way to go. We actually force both Protect Shields of the opponent and then send out Mamoswine. The opponent has enough for a Rock Wrecker. Ooh, if I was expecting us to get nuked. But GGDAWG with huge cojones called the bait. He's able to reach the Avalanche. Avalanche removes Rhyperior from the field of play. Out comes Metagross. Can we reach the high horsepower? No, the opponent tried to make a catch. One too soon. We've now got the high horsepower bank. Mamoswine claims a huge boom, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see the Dream lead. It's even better for us that the opponents opt in to stay in, and they're going to have to reach all the way for a Blizzard to do any meaningful damage. And that certainly is not a Blizzard, as Blizzard takes around 26 years to get to. Well, it actually takes 10 waterfalls and 9 to the second, but it's still like eternity. The opponent's even shielding Kyogre in this god-awful matchup. We've got such a heavy pace and advantage. We're able to secure the knockout and force a protection. Out comes Primarina. Dusk Mane enters the field of play. The opponent then pivots out into Palkia. We look to fire off the Dark Pulse, but lose CMP. We are going to invest Protect Shield, blocking up the Aqua Tail. Dark Pulse won't be lethal, but the opponent's probably going to shield, as they know that Primarina is going to be hopeless against us. We then send out Mamoswine. Mamoswine looks to fire off the Avalanche, but loses CMP. I don't think we survive this Aqua Tail, unfortunately. Mamoswine used essentially as the third shield. It's all down to Dusk Mane to clean up. We've seen numerous catches, both from GGDAWG and his opponents. The opponent again tries to make the Dark Pulse catch onto Primarina. Primarina gets one shot by the Sunsteel strike. Cleanly removed from the field of play. Back out comes Palkia. We claim back-to-back victims and take that game. These are some seriously quick Master League battles. It feels more like Little Cup. In the next battle, we see a fantastic lead. I would have liked to see us throw the Dragon Claw, one Dragon Breath before the charge attack priority. We actually invest a very good Protect Shield. The opponent full sent the Shadow Ball. Again, I wouldn't recommend shielding if I was the opponent, as we are going to be able to outpace to the next Dragon Claw before they're able to reach the next Shadow Ball. The next Dragon Claw actually forces the opponent's final protection. At this point, even if they bait, they're not going to reach another Shadow Ball. The opponent again full send the Shadow Ball. We get a massive farm down, leaving with energy. Out comes Dialga. We see the pivot into Dusk Mane. Out comes Groudon. The opponent gets outpaced. Sunsteel strike going to be yet another big boom. Sunsteel Strike is just a disgusting move. There are so many Pokemon today getting boomed, and I am all here for it. We reach yet another Dark Pulse on the charge attack priority. This game is so over. The opponent fire off the Iron Head. Iron Head simply will not get the job done. The opponent going to be unable to Dragon Breath farm down either. And Mamoswine is going to get a very well-deserved rest on the bench. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle. What a lead. Groudon needs to get out. The opponent pivots into Kyogre. Trainer, that's no better. You may as well have stayed in. The opponent completely core broken. Latios going to easily survive the surf. GGDAWG then farms up to the double Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw goes unshielded. Isn't quite lethal, giving us a Dragon Breath farm. And the opponent then sends out Groudon. We pivot into Mamoswine. Mamoswine not going to appreciate the buff Fire Punch. Holy crap. I didn't expect it to do that much. Mamoswine, where is your bulk? We're able to hang on though. Fire off the avalanche, forcing the opponent's first Protect Shield. GGDAWG sends back out Latios, fires off the Dragon Claw, but loses CMP. We are going to invest a protection on the Fire Punch. I don't think that would quite be lethal, but we've got 2 shields. We might as well use them. The opponent actually opts to shield, shielding up the Dragon Claw. We then send out Dusk Mane, going to invest a protection on the opponent bait with the Fire Punch. GGDAWG not willing to risk a farm down, and I think that's wise. We're going to fire off the Dark Pulse, removing Groudon from the field of play. Out comes Mewtwo. This is just a side strike, Trainer. That is a double resisted move. You need to commit to the Shadow Ball. I've got no idea why you'd throw that. But it is what it is. We easily hang on. Fire off the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse picks up the one shot. And we take that game. In the next battle, we lead Latios into Primarina. The opponent's on Waterfall, so we're kind of forced to stay in as Mamoswine wants no part of this thing. GGDAWG going to invest a Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming disarming voice. I love it, and we are full sending. Primarina used to having its way against Dragon types, but Latios has something to say about that. Latios is a Primarina counter confirmed. You heard it here first. Out comes Dusk Mane. We're going to stay in, fire off the Dragon Claw, force a Protect Shield, perhaps the opponent unfamiliar with our moveset. Latios still not done, going to fire off one further Dragon Claw, and the opponent opts to 2 shield. Trainer, that is not a good shielding decision. We now enter the mirror of a 2 to no shield advantage. We shield the first Dark Pulse, catch the second Dark Pulse onto Mamoswine. That Dark Pulse does so much damage. GGDAWG looks to fire off the avalanche, but the opponent says, "You're not the only one, Mr. GGDAWG, who can catch. I can catch as well, but why would you catch on Rhyperior?" Holy cow, the opponent near gets one shot. Unless they're running some crazy moves there, everything is going to be resisted. The opponent fire off the Breaking Swipe, looking to debuff us. Can we survive a Dark Pulse? Dark Pulse doesn't get the same type attack bonus. We're able to hang on. We reach our own Dark Pulse, and from this range, Dark Pulse is going to be all she wrote. Yet another very crazy game. GG's to both trainers. What a turn of events. We started off 0-3 and we're now on a 7-game win streak, as that was a perfect 5-0. Heading into the next battle, we see everyone's favourite basic bitch tin can. We farm up some energy, pivot into Dusk Mane, and out comes Kyogre. This isn't too bad for us, to be honest. This is a pretty neutral matchup. Dusk Mane gonna fire off the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse rocks the opponent down below half health. GGDAWG gonna look to flip switch. We're going to invest a Protect Shield, blocking up the surf. GGDAWG then going to overfarm, firing off yet another Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse goes unshielded, and just like that, switch advantage is ours. Back out comes Dialga. Dialga fires off the Iron Head. Iron Head isn't lethal. Dusk Mane, you monster, able to hang on, fire off one further Dark Pulse, and even forces a Protect Shield back. We then send out Mamoswine. The opponent pivots out into Palkia. We've already seen that Aqua Tail does ridiculous damage, so I'm anticipating us throwing this move and then making the pivot. There is the pivot. Is this just an Aqua Tail? Yes, it is. Aqua Tail isn't lethal. We're able to hang on, reach the Dragon Claw, and I think we're home and dry. Dragon Claw easily going to knock out. The opponent is going to Dragon Breath farm down, but all Mamoswine needs to do is reach an avalanche. The opponent going to be unable to Dragon Breath farm down. Mamoswine looking very cool, fires off the avalanche, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see another battle of dragon types. This one's going to be oppressive, fast move beatdown. Both Pokemon tearing through each other's HP stat. GGDAWG tries to catch the Breaking Swipe onto Dusk Mane. The catch didn't look the cleanest, but the opponent opted to throw the Breaking Swipe anyway. Our Dusk Mane save switch is answered by the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death, Master League Edition, or Hoto as most of you probably know it. The opponent happy to invest a Protect Shield in exchange for 100 energy on this Firebird of Death, which isn't a bad play, as this thing only has nukes and likely will force shields back. Latios re-enters the arena. GGDAWG invest a Protect Shield. Do we go for 4 Dragon Rest and the Dragon Claw? It looks like we're actually going to double shield. Fully Dragon Breath farm down. The opponent actually not wanting to get farmed down. Attempt to snipe with Rayquaza. Unsuccessfully fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw goes unshielded. Looks like GGDAWG spamming the switch. Then's like, no, I'll see what comes in first. Out comes Mewtwo. GGDAWG farms up. Makes the pivot into Mamoswine. Oh boy, Mamoswine not going to appreciate this side strike. Side strike rocks us into the red health range. The opponent shows very good knowledge of the counts thrown on the charge attack priority. This is going to be dicey. We need to make sure the opponent doesn't catch. I saw the Psycho Cut, so this Dragon Claw will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent doesn't make the catch. Dragon Claw will be moving Mewtwo from the field of play. No, I thought we'd Dragon Breath farm down. We actually get Incinerate farm down instead. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see another Battle of Dragons. I'm anticipating the Dragon Claw attempted catch onto Dusk Mane. There is the attempted catch, and this time it is successful. We also bet out Pogo, which is very nice, so Mamoswine doesn't have to see it. If we're able to take back Switch here, it's going to be huge for us. We land the first Dark Pulse. Dusk Mane, all the next Dark Pulse. Come on, trainer, just let it go. You don't need Switch, I promise. The opponent invests the Protect Shield, the waterfall damage tearing through us. At this point, Switch advantage has been lost. We'll set up shield advantage for the Mammoth. Hopefully with Kyogre out of the way, Mamoswine's going to be very good against the remainder of the team. Back out comes Latios. Dragon Claw removes Kyogre from the field of play. The opponent's got their own Dusk Mane in the back. Okay, so we've got the high horsepower of this thing. And we can just Powder Snow farm down. Dragonite, the opponent makes the pivot back into Dragonite. Mamoswine looks for the Powder Snow farm down, which we're unable to get before the opponent reaches to the part in Dragon Claw. We're going for a risky bait here. Please don't call it. Yes, the opponent shits their pants. Invest in that Protect Shield, which is going to enable us to reach the high horsepower, picking up the one shot, and we take that game. Mamoswine sweeping the back line. In the next battle, we see Landorus in the lead. You'd think we're a flying type, as we're currently kind of flapping around on the screen, but unfortunately all this ground type damage is going to hit for neutral. The opponent fire off a Sensia Storm. We then see the Simon swap Mamoswine into Dialga. Mamoswine going to be able to outpace to the Avalanche with wheel hit for neutral. A Dragon takes super effective from Ice, where a Steel does resist. We're able to force ourselves a shield advantage. The opponent throws it very nice timing from the Iron Head just before the second Avalanche is reached. GGDAWG now sends out Dusk Mane. We are going to see a Protect Shield deployed. A Roar of Time would do a lot of damage. It is resisted, but a very hard hitting move. We invest the Protect Shield, then overfarm, fire off the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse moves Dialga from the field of play. Back out comes Landorus. We farm to the Sunsteel Strike, fire off the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse isn't quite lethal. I can see top right, the opponent just about probably alive on a couple of HP. Out comes Palkia. We force the final Protect Shield with the Dragon Claw. Back out comes Dusk Mane, and I think not going for a Sunsteel Strike here is a mistake. Dark Pulse isn't lethal, although perhaps we can farm down. Sunsteel Strike is resisted, but does do more damage. No, we don't get the farm down. The opponent survives on quite literally invisible HP, and we're going to take a heartbreaking loss. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see Ho-Oh in the lead. Again, the opponent opting to stay in. The opponent actually pivot out into Metagross. We bank a boatload of energy and punish him with Dusk Mane. The opponent farmed to a potential Earthquake, and we are going to see a Protect Shield deployed. Good shield. The opponent wasn't messing around, full sending the Earthquake. Very, very nice overfarm before firing off the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse removes Shadow Metagross from the field of play. Back out comes Ho-Oh. We are going for the Sunsteel Strike. Sunsteel Strike forces the Protect Shield. The opponent looking for that Incinerate farm down. We actually pivot into Latios, and we're going to burn the final Protect Shield, blocking up the Brave Bird. Oh, I thought we were going to try and Dragon Breath farm down. Good job we didn't, as we're not going to be able to get it. The opponent burned the final Protect Shield, looking to move Latios from the field of play. Brave Bird easily secures the knockout. The opponent's heavily debuffed, so we can just Powder Snow farming down. We send out Mamoswine, get a 1 Powder Snow running star. Out comes Mewtwo. GGDAWG farms up, makes the double resisted side strike catch. Back onto Dusk Mane. The opponent goes for the undercharge, allowing us to reach the Dark Pulse, and Dark Pulse is going to be all she wrote. GG's. That is going to be the end of the third set today, but that is not it, as we've even got some bonus battles for you with a slightly different variation of the team, this time a full Shadow team. Latios into Ho-Oh, a very nice lead for us. Or again, we go for CMP. The opponent takes the extra, making this a pretty poor matchup. Quite good for them, meaning we're going to be the ones to shield first. The opponent fire off the Brave Bird, then pivot into Giratina. Giratina not going to appreciate this Dragon Claw, so we likely force our shield back. The opponent unwilling to shield, we then send out Mamoswine. Mamoswine could potentially Powder Snow farm down, although can we survive 2 Dragon Claws? It looks like we can. Although Giratina is now going to run its 4 cycle, I don't think 4 Powder Snows knock out, so potentially we're going to have to throw on CMP. GGDAWG recognises the fact he's going to be unable to farm down, does throw the Avalanche. Avalanche goes unshielded. We're only 1 off the Avalanche, which means we're going to be able to get this off before the Incinerate registers. Very nice overfarm. Avalanche finally forces a Protect Shield. We send back out Latios. Latios going to be unable to Dragon Breath farm down before the Brave Bird's reached. Brave Bird secures the knockout. Let's go, Machamp. Let's go, Machamp. Out comes GGDAWG. You couldn't ask for a better matchup for a mighty 4-armed fighter. Cross Chop forces the opponents a final Protect Shield. GGDAWG still with a Protect Shield, going to block up the incoming Iron Head, and you all know how this one's going to end. GGDAWG overfarms before firing off the Cross Chop. Cross Chop removes them from the field of play. Back out comes Ho-Oh. This Cross Chop is resisted, but deep in the red, going to be enough to secure the dub. GG's. In the next battle, we see our old nemesis, Yveltal. 2 better response in the back. We're going to say switch into Shadow Machamp. The opponent stays in. Attempt a Cross Chop catch onto Mewtwo. GGDAWG holds his energy, fires off the Stone Edge, actually forcing a protection of Mewtwo, which is pretty absurd. Machamp still not done. Going to reach 1 further Stone Edge. Stone Edge does some very respectable damage, getting Mewtwo down to around a 3rd health. I've just realised that is a purified shiny Mewtwo as well. Absolute sacrilege. How dare you, Mr. Opponent. GGDAWG, if you lose this battle, we are no longer friends. Latios comes out, Dragon Breath farms down Mewtwo, back out comes Yveltal. Yveltal going to be greeted with the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and it is time for Mamoswine. Mamoswine going to block up the incoming Dark Pulse. Out comes GGDAWG with no Protect Shields to hide behind. We reach the high horsepower. You know what time it is. Get that basic bitch tin can off my screen. High horsepower easily picks up the 1-shot. Back out comes Yveltal, and it's very quickly about to meet the same fate. GG's, and thanks for playing. Honestly, Shadow Mamoswine sometimes just goes rampant. In the next battle, what a lead. Machamp into GGDAWG. The opponent say switches into Palkia. Palkia going to be greeted with the Cross Chop. Cross Chop gets the opponent down to around the red health. We send out Latios. The opponent commits to the Spatial Rend. They don't get there. We get the full Dragon Breath farm down. Back out comes GGDAWG. In return, they're going to Dragon Breath farm us down, but not before the Dragon Claws reach. To my surprise, Dragon Claw forces a Protect Shield. We're actually going to opt to send out Mamoswine here. Mamoswine instantly going to put up that Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming Iron Head. Out comes Shadow Heatran. Woof! What a spice from the opponent. We YOLO the high horsepower. High horsepower forces the final Protect Shield. And it's all down to Machamp to clean up. Machamp going to burn the Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming Magna Storm. Machamp not messing around, going straight for the Cross Chop. Cross Chop probably knocks out Shadow and Shadow Crime. Of course it does. Who was worried? Back out comes GGDAWG. Machamp super spammy, taking only 8 turns to reach yet another Cross Chop. And Machamp this time going to sweep the back line. GG's. Heading into the final battle of today's a very fun shoutcast. We've got some mad spice on display. Shadow Venusaur in the Open Master League. I've actually got a Shadow Venusaur myself, maxed out at level 50. I run it occasionally in MLP, but it's pretty crazy in the Open Master League. No! Oh my days, the opponent sends out GGDAWG with only 1 shield to hide behind into a loaded Star Raptor. We're at the double close combat. The first one forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and the second one cleanly going to remove this tin can from the field of play. Star Raptor gets its big boom. Back out comes Dawn Wings, but trainer, you now are going to be a victim of the algorithm. We send out Honchkrow. Honchkrow in theory is going to resist everything, but let me tell you, this thing cannot tank a hit for shit. The opponent sends the Moongeist Beam. Out comes Togekiss. This is definitely something Venusaur likes to see. Unfortunately, 1 Sludge Bomb isn't lethal. That's because we've got a pretty poor stat product, but who was worried? Venusaur reaches the Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant gonna remove them from the field of play. Back out comes Dawn Wings. We got the Dark Pulse banked, and Honchkrow also gonna claim a boom to end today's video. GG's, and thanks for playing. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's shoutcast. A huge thank you to GGDAWG for a very fun, very entertaining, and quite frankly chaotic shoutcast. That was so much fun to shoutcast, buddy. I appreciate you. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, a link to a battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.